I'd like to call to order the Waterworks Board meeting for Wednesday, April 13th, 2022 at 7:07 p.m. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Troxel, would you take roll call?
Yes. Councilwoman Robin Aranias.
Here.
Councilman Kevin Conley.
Present.
Councilman Caleb Johnson.
Present.
Councilman Thomas Schmidt.
Here.
Attorney David Austin.
Present.
Fire Chief Robert Patterson. Here. Deputy Fire Chief David Meyer. Here. Police Chief Pete Sormas. Here. Deputy Police Chief Steve McNamara. Here. Park Superintendent John Novosich. Here. IT Robbie Hansen. Here. Public Works Director Andy Hansen.
Here.
Director of Operations Jim Gorman.
Here.
Town Manager Robert Volkman.
Here.
Recording Secretary Robin Teal. And Clerk Treasurer Michael Troxel here.
Thank you. First on the agenda is the minutes of the March 9th, 2022 public meeting.
So moved.
I will second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0. Next on the agenda, we have claims. Mr. Troxel, are there any additional claims?
No additional claims, Madam President.
Move to approve claims.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Claims carries 2-0. Next, we have reports. Are there any staff reports?
No reports.
Thank you. Council members, do we have any reports regarding the Waterworks Board?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. There is no old business. There is no new business. Is there any business from the floor regarding the Waterworks Board meeting? Any business from the floor? This meeting is adjourned.
Call to order the Redevelopment Commission meeting for Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. The time is 7:09 p.m. For this meeting, I'll bring in council members Tom Schmidt and Caleb Johnson. Minutes of the March 9th, 2022 public meeting.
So move. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. 4-0. Claims, Mr. Troxel, any additional claims?
No additional claims, Mr. President.
So move on claims. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. Passes 4-0. Any reports from staff on redevelopment?
No reports.
Thank you. Council members?
No reports. No report.
Hearing none, we have no old business, nor do we have any new business. At this point, I'll take business from the floor if you have a question about the Redevelopment Commission. Any business from the floor? Any business from the floor? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Utility Board meeting for Wednesday, April 13th at 7:10 p.m. The roll call will stay the same as the redevelopment meeting. The first item on the agenda is the minutes of the March 9 public meeting.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, 4-0. Claims, any additional claims, Mr. Troxel?
No additional claims, Mr. President.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second on claims. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Any reports,
No reports.
Mr. Hanson? No reports. We have no reports from staff. Any reports from council members on utilities?
No report.
No, sir.
No reports. We have no old business and we have no new business on utilities. At this time, I'll take business from the floor regarding utilities. Any business from the floor regarding utilities? No business from the floor. This meeting's adjourned. We'll move right into the town council meeting.
I'd like to call to order the Town Council meeting for Wednesday, April 13th, 2022 at 7:11 p.m. The roll call remains the same as the previous meeting of the Utility Board. First on the agenda would be the minutes of the March 9th, 2022 public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. Next on the agenda, we have claims. Mr. Troxel, are there any additional claims?
Madam President, there is one additional claim to be added to the agenda this evening. That would be item O, and this is a claim to A1 Affordable Sign and Neon Company for $33,289, and this is for the LED sign over at the Sherwood Park entrance there. And if you can add it to the claims here this evening so we can get this taken care of, be appreciated.
Thank you.
Motion to pay the claims?
Second.
Madam President,
Yes.
may I suggest that you add the item to the agenda?
Motion to add the item O for A1 affordable signs in the amount of $33,298?
89.
$89 to the agenda under claims.
And I'll second that motion to add to the agenda.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Claims carried 4-0.
Well, we added it, now we have to pay it,
I-
right? So motion to pay the claims as now amended.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Next on the agenda, we have reports, starting on my left. Chief Patterson.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to report that for the month of March, we had 267 EMS-related calls, 40 fire-related calls, for a total of 307 calls for the month of March. Also just want to report that I just got notification that we should be taking possession of our new fire engine April 21st. So we're pretty excited about that. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assistant Chief Dave Meyer.
Nothing to report, Madam President.
Thank you. Police Chief Pete Sormas.
Nothing to report. I'll turn it over to Deputy Chief. He has a report.
Thank you. Deputy Chief McNamara.
This is just a save the date. We just want to let you guys know that we are having our police memorial, our annual police memorial at the police department on May 20th at 12 o'clock. More information will be coming forward, but it'll be a full service as we done every year. So just want to give kind of a save the date. Thank you.
Thank you. Park Superintendent John Novosad.
Thank you. One quick announcement, our Party in the Park event series starts Friday, May 6th at Reeder Park from 5 to 9 p.m.
That's all. Thank you. Public Works, Andy Hansen. No reports. Mr. Gorman
No reports?
and Mr. Volkman.
No reports.
Thank you. Next, we have public comments regarding agenda items. Public comments regarding agenda items? Seeing none, thank you. We'll move on to old business. We have no old business, so we will move on to the agenda for new business. Starting with item A, ordinance 1975A, an ordinance amending town 2022 salary ordinance number 1975 regarding the salaries and wages for officials and employees of the town of Schererville, Lake County, Indiana, and repealing all town ordinances or parts thereof in conflict herewith.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, this is an amendment, 1975A. It is an amendment to the salary ordinance regarding wages of seasonal workers as well as entry-level positions. And it proposes that their starting wage would be raised at $1 an hour.
Madam President, I move to approve ordinance 1975A with the explanation from Mr. Gorman.
I'll second.
Discussion, please.
Yes.
Mr. Gorman, does this also add additional positions to these seasonal
Laborers?
positions, I guess, to add a second level? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
So we have like a level 1 and a level 2
Yeah,
of
so
seasonal?
if the seasonal worker comes back next year and, you know, we were happy with their service from the previous year, then that supervisor can, at that time, put them in that position, which would be another $1 an hour.
All right, so they would come back in $2 an hour over what we were last year.
If
for
that's
those
what their
seasonal
supervisor decides, yes, their department head,
hours. Sure.
depending on how their work ethic was, and
Thank you for that clarification.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Madam President.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
Move to adopt, Madam President.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item B, ordinance 1975B, an ordinance amending town 2022 salary ordinance number 1975 regarding the salaries and wages for officials and employees of the town of Schererville, Lake County, Indiana, repealing all town ordinances and parts thereof in conflict herewith, and all matters pertaining to special premium pay to town employees.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, this is another amendment to the current salary ordinance that's providing premium pay to all current full-time and part-time employees who work during the COVID-19 pandemic. Premium pay consists of $1 for every hour that an employee worked in the year 2021. And there's a cap at $2,000 for that. Exempt from premium pay are elected officials and seasonal workers.
Madam President, I move to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I've got a comment. Just for, to inform the public, this decision was made by a committee that consisted of Councilman Caleb Johnson, Councilman Tom Schmidt, Town Manager Bob Volkman, Director of Operations Jim Gorman, and they met on what, 2 or 3 occasions, Clerk Treasurer Mike Troxel, sorry Mike, and came up with this recommendation, and it was a consensus recommendation to the council.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Move to adopt, Madam President.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Item C, the public hearing, proof of publication open to the floor. Resolution 2022-4, a resolution of the Schererville Town Council to approve a fiscal plan and policy for proposed annexation of a parcel of real property to the town of Schererville, Lake County, Indiana. The petitioner is Brian Lance. Location 12010 West 85th Avenue, 10300 West 85th Avenue, part of 10304 West 85th Avenue.
Thank you, Madam President. This is, oh, I'm sorry.
Attorney Austin?
I just wanted to make the record, Madam President, that the public hearing has been duly noticed and advertised consistent with the requirements of law.
Thank you. Mr. Gorman?
Thank you. This is a voluntary annexation from developer Brian Lance. He's a longtime developer within the town of Schererville. This property is located just east of Amber Fields, right off of 85th Avenue on the south end of town. And it consists of a 21-lot subdivision.
Do we have Madam President, I apologize.
Yes.
Do we have facilities in the area to service this
Yes, we do.
subdivision? Do we have the ability to handle the flow, the water, draw, that sort of thing?
Absolutely, yes, we do.
Is there a plan to improve the roadway to accommodate this? Because I know we've been talking about reconstructing and working with St. John about 85th. Is this
85th is not going to be the access point to this subdivision. It's going to be on Buckingham, inside the Pine Hill subdivision.
Okay.
So there's a dead end there now. It's just going to continue in, do a loop, and come back out.
So single ingress and egress
Right,
out of
and
this.
that'll go through the planning commission's phase of the as development continues to develop.
Okay.
Madam President.
Yes.
Mr. Gorman, and these are all single-family homes?
That is correct.
And did I hear you a few minutes ago say that it was voluntary annexation?
Yes.
Madam President, I move to approve resolution.
I'm sorry, Tom.
We have
Yes.
to open it to
Madam
the
Pre-
floor.
You need
Oh,
to
I'm
open
sorry.
the floor to the public hearing.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Any comments?
Right.
Any comments from the floor? Any comments from the floor? No? Seeing and hearing none?
Madam President, I move to approve resolution 2022-4.
I'll second with a little further discussion. Mr. Gorman, I haven't seen a plan for it, and so is this a development that is drawn at all, developed at
No.
all?
Not at all.
And we're zoning this or annexing this in as R1, so any sort of zoning change would require BZA approval and then ultimately town council approval?
No.
No.
We would require, a zoning request would go to the plan commission with recommendation to the town council, but there's no, it's not contemplated that there'll be any zone change here. Mr. Lance has submitted a very preliminary sketch plan. You know, he has I think he's got an engineer drawing the drawings, but he has some wetlands to deal with there, so he has to get 404 permits from the Army Corps. So I don't know what his time schedule is. I know he applied to the Army Corps last July, and at my last discussions with him, he had not heard back from him yet.
But I guess back to the question, by ordinance or by statute, when we adopt this ordinance of annexation in the fiscal plan, it's gonna come in as R1 residential, and that's the way it's gonna stay until somebody, the Plan Commission, makes a recommendation, and then we ultimately approve a zoning change. So I just wanna make sure that what we're annexing into the property is gonna be R1 until
It
we
is.
agree that it's gonna change.
By our ordinance, it's all annexations come in as R1.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
moreover, Councilman, all costs and expenses of development, extension of services, capital improvements, and the like are referenced specifically in the fiscal plan and policy before you as being that of the owner and developer, period.
Okay.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I seconded with discussion, yes.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0.
Madam President?
Yes.
This will be an agenda item, or should be, at your May public meeting for second reading adoption of the ordinance.
Thank you. Item D, Resolution 2022-5, a resolution of the Town of Schererville, Lake County, Indiana, declaring an official intent to reimburse expenditures which may be incurred with respect to certain projects and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a resolution to pay back funds that we borrowed from the TIF district for the improvements we made to Public Safety Building, Fire Station Number 3.
Madam President, I move to approve Resolution 2022-5.
Second.
Any discussion?
Madam President?
Yes.
May I also offer that the reimbursement is intended to cover capital improvements for public safety in the community going forward on the planned path that it's on.
Is this, Mr. Town Attorney, is this indefinite then? Is this resolution written to the extent that it applies indefinitely, or is this limited to this fiscal year?
No, it's not limited by calendar year or term of time. It's limited by use.
Madam President, I'd like to amend my motion to include what Mr. Austin gave us information on.
Second.
Any more discussion?
I guess, yeah, please. I'm hesitant to adopt a resolution, just blanket authorizing the town to reimburse ourselves from the use of the TIF district funds. I guess I'm hesitant because I don't want there to be abuse going forward, and I'm worried that there may be if we just write ourselves a blank check. I don't want to give ourselves that latitude. I'd like to revisit this as needed.
Madam President?
Yes.
Councilman, you may do that, for sure. You may do that. It is contemplated, at least as I understand it, in review with the staff, with the town's advisors and consultants, that foreseeably the items for which reimbursement would occur are imminent, calendar year.
So we have certain projects, and this is what we referenced previous meeting about the air conditioning HVAC system on the police department building. That's what we're talking about.
That's correct. We included public safety buildings in the ordinance for the recapture because we have some improvements that we have to make at the police department just because the equipment is antiquated and is going to be needed to be replaced. So we're replacing that HVAC system. But more importantly, when we started with the addition and the renovations of Station 3 on Burr Street, that was originally when we authorized the use of TIF funds for that project. It was with the understanding that those would be reimbursed to the TIF district at some later date with, as we planned for a new central station and the cost associated with that, that we would roll that all into a building corp and develop a building corporation bond to reimburse the town TIF district for the funds we borrowed from it to complete that project. And looks like in the near future, we'll be doing the HVAC project with the PD. But outside of that, I don't know what other projects we would have for it. So certainly, everything has to come before the board for ultimate approval.
Approval of the expenditure, I recognize that. So the sunset we're anticipating is that when the central fire station is
Correct.
bonded and created, then we will pay everything back, so to speak.
Well, so my plan is that we would, as soon as I have a budget number for the central fire station, is to develop that budget, compile it with what we've expended on Station 3, the HVAC system for the police department and court facility, and then get a total number. That would be our bond issue for the building corporation. I would like to do that in the short term before interest rates move a lot and just end up costing the taxpayers more. And then at that point, once the bonds are sold, we would reimburse the TIF district for any funds that we expended for the other projects. But at the exhaustion of the building corporation and those funds, you know, the resolution, the recapture, or the reimbursement resolution would be moot at that point. It doesn't go in perpetuity. It basically expires with that bond issue.
So this resolution is really preemptive or
It is,
presumptive that we're going to need this when we do the bond.
right.
Our financial advisors would tell you they're checking the boxes.
And this is one of the boxes.
This is at the beginning. It certainly is.
Okay. Thank you for all the clarification.
No problem.
Thank you, Madam President, for the discussion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a nay? Any nays? No. Motion carries 4-0. Item E, consider variance of use to allow a used car lot to be operated within the US 41 commercial corridor. Board of Zoning Appeal Case 22-3-7. Petitioners, Dealer's Choice Cars 2, Chris and Elizabeth Engelbrecht. Address 2238 US 41. BZA recommendation. No recommendation to the town council, 3-0.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the old Herquest used car motor sales on the west side of 41 by Sunset Drive, or Sunset Avenue. They were in front of the BZA. It's a family from Highland that currently has a car dealership that the property owner is doing something else with that property, so they were asked to leave. So they were looking at this property, and went in front of the BZA. They couldn't decide. They had a member that was out of town on vacation. They had another member that was actually had other commitments, so they didn't come to a resolution on how the vote went. So that's why it's coming to you as no recommendation.
Do we have Chris and Elizabeth Engelbrecht here? Would you like to speak? Okay.
Good evening, Madam President.
Hello.
Councilman.
Hello.
Can you
Can
state your
turn that
name?
mic?
Oh, is it on?
Yeah, you can pick it up. Yeah, it should be on. Take it right out.
Can you hear me? If I just stand here, can you hear me? My name is Lisa Steffen, and I live at 9828 Erie Street in Highland.
Thank you.
My family has run Dealer's Choice Cars for 30 years in Northwest Indiana. We've always been a family-run business. In fact, I started when I was 12, just washing cars for them. We have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, no complaints. We have been in contact with Sherry Van Hook. She is the field representative for the Secretary of State's office, the auto division. She has given us clearance to move forward, and we'll transfer our license over to this new location if approved. Our intentions basically are to get in, clean up the property a little bit. It needs a little bit of cosmetic updates. The paint is chipping. We have an estimate, on a new sign an awning that will go across the front. If you're familiar with the building right now, the awning is kind of falling down. So we have an estimate about $4,000 for a brand new sign, which will have our name on it, pretty neutral colors, black, white, red. We do deal in later model vehicles, like on average right now, I think 2012, 2013, 14 is about what we have. They cost roughly, on average, $10,000. We sell about 150 cars a year, and throughout the pandemic, that has just increased. So we'd very much so like to stay in business, but like the gentleman over here said, we've lost our lease due to his expansion of his business. So basically, we just want to come in and continue our family business that we've always had and be a part of Schererville.
Thank you.
you.
Any questions?
Madam President, and can you explain that and I walked your property, and I know exactly your property layout and everything. And there's a present business behind you. Can you explain a little bit?
Correct.
So everyone knows.
The owners are here for that property as well. Quest Automotive, owned by these folks, behind my parents. So they rented their business, Quest Automotive, for I think like a dozen years. And just in 2021, they purchased the entire property of where their business sits and the building that looks like a house that sits in front of it. So they purchased all of that property with the intention of having a used car dealership there because that's what's always been there. It has been sitting vacant for roughly 5 years. You know, I just think a business might look a little bit better than a vacant property.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Tom? No. I had a couple questions, ma'am.
Sure.
How many, at your current location in Highland, how many cars do you have on the lot on average at any one given time?
At any one given time right now, we hold roughly 35 cars. So we are going to be downsizing.
This lot is smaller than that.
It
How
is.
many cars are you going to be able to maintain at this lot?
20.
And the layout of 20 cars, how does that fit? How does it work for parking for people coming in? I mean, I haven't been there. I haven't
Sure.
seen it as an operational business,
Sure.
obviously, in 5 years or more.
Are you familiar with the property?
Fairly.
Okay, so if you're looking directly at the property, to the north of the property, so the side of the house, would fit a row of 5, and that would be about, like towards the back half of the house would be a row of 5, and then another row and 5 in front of that, making 10. And then there's an ingress-egress that we would keep open to flow from the other neighboring business. And then the front row up on Indianapolis Boulevard would be 7 cars, making that 17. And there's a spot for 3 more in front of a deck, which is on the front of the property, in front of the house, in front of the deck, still being compliant with the ingress-egress. And then customer parking, there's a 30-foot driveway that goes along the side, access to the business in the back, Quest Automotive, and that's where we would put customer parking.
And then where would staff parking be then, or employee parking?
So typically, my dad and I are the only ones there. Most of the time, it's my dad and I, and we drive the cars that are for sale. So they would be within that 20 that I first mentioned.
And then the agreement, so to speak, that you guys are tentatively working on with Quest Automotive, are they planning to utilize any of that parking space? Are they available for overflow, so to speak? I just don't want it to be a super cramped space
Sure.
where you're coming from average 30, 35 cars and you now got only 20 and you're still trying to pack 30, 35. And I know this
No,
is
there's no.
it's a game of volume. You got to move cars.
Sure,
So I
it is.
understand you want cars there, you want them to move. I just don't want you to come in there with an expectation you're going to pack 30, 35 cars and it doesn't work.
So my intention is to keep 20 cars there. There quite literally is just nowhere else to put them.
And you've worked or talked to the owners at Quest, and they know
Yes.
that, and they're
Yes.
not intending to use that driveway for, you
No.
know, their cars
No,
coming in
because
and out?
we will need every literal square foot that we have agreed upon. So he's well aware that his vehicles that he's working on will be behind the house with his business.
And that 30-foot driveway is sufficient, you're able to get cars parked there
Yes.
for customers
Yes.
and not block it?
My mother actually did a to-scale drawing. I don't know if you have the copies in front of you or not, but it was on a survey that she submitted to the BZA, and copies were made. So the little squares on there, cars are numbered.
And I know you can't speak for the owner, but one of the things that I have a difficult time grasping here, I recognize that you are having a hardship because you personally, your business is suffering from being displaced. But from the owner's perspective, and maybe you can speak to it, or maybe the owner can come and speak to it, but what is the hardship in trying to get this leased by or rented out to a business that complies with our comprehensive plan? Something that
So
fits that plan?
one of the owners, Sana Petrovich, I think would like to speak on that.
Good evening, Madam President. My name is Sana Petrovich. I'm the co-owner of Quest Auto Service Center. My husband and I have been operating Quest Auto since 2010. We were renting the property from the original owners since 2010, and we're fortunate enough to purchase it in 2021. We weren't given the opportunity to buy, otherwise we would have purchased it earlier, but we're only given the opportunity to buy the property in its entirety. So not just the lot, the property that we use in back, but the entire property in 2021. So we weren't able, operating an automotive repair shop, to run any business because we were tenants. So that remained empty due to the owners of the property prior. So we didn't have a say, unfortunately, in what it was used for or why it was vacant. So now that we have the opportunity to own it and buy it, the pandemic hit. We were trying to keep ourselves afloat in 2021 because we closed it last summer, actually. We were just trying to make sure we were keeping ourselves in our business that we've had open for over 12 years, functioning and open. And then when Lisa came to us with their business, and I saw that it's a reputable business that's been in business for over 30 years, I realized this would be a safe opportunity for all of us to lease to somebody that's been in business, and it's not some fly-by-the-night dealership. So we felt it would be good to lease the property and resurrect it to its original use that it's been prior as a used car lot. There is sufficient space in front. As she mentioned, she, yes, would have to downsize the number of vehicles. We have over 14 spots in back for us to use for our cars. So, and we have a garage that's attached to our garage to park any vehicles that we would need to park for our overflow. So there really isn't any space issue, other than the fact that she's, gonna have fewer cars. It just means that she'll turn over her cars faster and get more cars in. That's how I look at it. Personally, I think it's a win-win solution for everybody. We know how cars are difficult to find given the pandemic at this point. People are buying them left and right and bringing them in right now to owners that actually have been in business, and we are confident are going to be able to basically run a turnkey operation. So they'll be able to just, change their address, so to speak, and their clients will be coming with them, and customers will be following them, knowing that they've been in business for so long. So that's my thing. Is it a hardship? Absolutely. We haven't been able to generate any additional revenue. We're paying all of the bills, the utilities for the property, have to keep that house that's in front, the water running, electricity, the utilities running, everything functioning, and it's remaining vacant. I would personally like to invest in doing some more cosmetic things to it, but while it's vacant, we really can't do too much to it to generate additional revenue. So renting it is what we would like to do.
Madam President, question. What's the price range of the cars that you're selling?
The price range typically runs anywhere from, at our very cheapest, right now, 5,000, most expensive, closer to, I think, 13,900 right now. So prices have gone up throughout the pandemic. We try to keep, a price point of around 10,000. That's where we like to sit, is at $10,000. But what used to cost $10,000 2 years ago now costs $12,000. So
Without question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long do cars sit on the lot on average?
I mean, sometimes an hour and sometimes 6 months. So you just, there's a driver for every seat, and we just kind of wait until we get the right one. We don't keep any cars on the lot that aren't operable. So every car that's on the lot is ready to go. And if it isn't operable, the beauty of this property is that we're gonna have a mechanic right behind us.
Well, that was gonna be my next question, is are you guys performing repairs, oil changes,
We do
this
not,
kind of stuff
none,
there?
none whatsoever.
Okay, so all that's gonna be outsourced
It
to
is.
Quest or to any other?
Yes, we
mechanic?
have a list of mechanics, that we have, built relationships with over the last 30 years. But our hope is that moving into this location, we'll have the convenience of taking it to Quest right behind us.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I have to agree with Sonia. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with the mechanic business in the back to have an up-to-date, remodeled, outside used car dealership. I do have a question for you, Lisa. The parking spots for the people coming in, you will stripe the parking lot for
Absolutely,
that?
yes, we will stripe them.
And upgrade the striping in the parking lot?
I'm sorry?
And upgrade the striping in the parking lot?
We didn't intend to stripe where the cars are located.
No, I mean more for the people that come in.
Absolutely, yes. We'll stripe and we'll mark with signage,
So they have a
customer
designed
parking.
parking spot?
Yes,
that's- okay.
absolutely.
Madam President, the only other thing that I would like to see you guys at least represent to us today is just the level of improvement to the building and to the facade, so to speak. I really want to see this, that area be improved if we grant this.
Sure.
So, putting a new awning on is nice. Obviously, it advertises your building, so it helps you, so that's an easy investment. But I would love to see that the building gets improved and looks nicer to the public coming onto the premises, driving by every day. So I don't know exactly what that is, because I'm not sitting looking at the building and walking through the building and saying this level is, this floor is out of level and it needs to be fixed so that people aren't tripping and falling.
Sure.
But I'd love to know that you guys are coming in with a commitment that you and the owners are committed to making this a very safe, very presentable location. And then I'm in favor of your guys' application.
The seal coating on the lot is in pretty good shape. I think you'd agree, Mr. Schmidt.
Yeah.
There's a few weeds we'd have to spray. We do intend to repaint all of the chipped paint that's on the building. We're gonna, new lighting will go in the awning, some LED lights. We also intend to put some huge pots of flowers. Planters, yes. There's a newer deck. I'm not quite sure how new it is, but I'd say it looks no more than 5 or 6 years old on the front of the house. So we would put maybe some tall grasses in these planters, and I think Sana also said in her sign up front, freshen up the flowers, and the cars is what's going to make it, and we have clean. Every single car is detailed before it's on the lot, waxed, everything's inside, everything inside is clean. All the cars are going to be ready to go. Rarely do we get anything even with rust on it. So, it's going to look like a nice, clean, reputable business. And any other additional, we're open to any suggestions that you would like to see as well.
Hey, I don't know, I can't remember if there's any landscaping anywhere on the entire premises. So, something to beautify it
Sure.
is in my mind what I'm looking for here, to make sure the premises looks good for the public.
So
We have
right
a
in-
comprehensive plan that says this is what's required.
Sure. So right in front of the vehicles, just, from the easement is just grass. So we'll obviously maintain the grass. But as far as beautifying the building, I think fresh coat of paint, adding flowers to it, a fresh awning, you know, I think that would make it a lot more attractive than it currently is.
All right.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to grant the variance of use to allow a used car lot to be operated within the US 41 Commercial Corridor. Board of Zoning Appeals, case number 22-3-7, petitioner Dealer's Choice Cars 2, petitioners Chris and Elizabeth Engelbrecht, address 2238 US Highway 41, BZA recommendation, no recommendation to the town council, 3-0, with the caveat that we make sure that there's some follow-up with regard to the representations they've made as far as the improvements and beautification they're going to do here today.
Madam President,
Yes.
may I suggest you add a condition to any approval that will include the meeting minutes of this meeting, wherein these commitments were made on the public record?
Yes, thank you, council. And I also want to make sure it is clear that this variance is granted to this user only for this property, and it's not granted to the owner of the property for all time. It's for this user.
you.
Madam President, I would like to second that with a comment. And to include, I would ask Mr. Caleb to include the 20 parking spots for the cars.
20, yep,
That was on the record.
that was on the record, so that's what I wanted to include all that. That's why David brought that up. Thank you, Tom.
So we have a motion and a second? All in
Tom,
favor,
are you
say
good?
aye. Yes, you second, Tom?
I second it, yeah.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Item F, consider acceptance of conveyance of property listed below to the town of Schererville for the Penzie Greenway Trail, 8755 Calhoun Place, $3,623. 8763 Calhoun Place, $3,623. 8771 Calhoun Place, $4,623. 8779 Calhoun Place, $4,623. And 8795 Calhoun Place, $2,044.
Thank you, Madam President. When our engineer was out preparing the site for construction limits, they noticed that they were getting some calls and some questions from residents that, hey, what are you doing on my property? So after further investigation, we pulled out our survey, they pulled out their survey, and we both own the same property. So obviously there was a bust in the property. We worked with John, Bob, and myself, worked with the property owners to get them into town hall, talk to them about the situation that came up, and we were able to come to a resolution to basically make them an offer on that property based on what the land was worth, square footage of what we needed, and right now we have 5 of a total of 8 properties. So we anticipate that the other 3 properties we need to get from those residents we'll have it in the next week or 2.
Thank you.
Madam President, question. So we're buying property we already bought once?
Um,
Buying it a second time?
it's cheaper and easier that way than going through surveyors and
I understand.
appraisals and attorney fees and,
Those
yeah.
attorneys, they cost a lot, I know.
well, engineers. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Madam President, motion to approve.
Second.
Any more discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Item G, consider acceptance of right-of-way dedication easement agreement between the Fred and Josh Properties LLC and the town of Schererville. Service road commonly known as 344 and 324 Indianapolis Boulevard.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, this is the service road that's behind Bona Beef and McAllister's. Fred and Josh Halpern own those properties, and their west property line actually goes to the middle of the road. So what we ask is that they dedicate us the right-of-way so that, you know, we can use that road. That road will now become, it'll be in our inventory, and we'll do all the maintenance on that road from now on. Team Toyota, which is also over there, they just paved the road, brought it up to today's standards, and now we're taking it over once we acquire the last piece, which is just on the opposite side of the road.
Thank you.
Move to approve, Madam President.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Item H, proclaim the week of April 10th to April 16th, 2022 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to defer this to Pete. You know, you don't mind? Sorry, Pete. Didn't give you the heads up.
Wake up.
Sorry, I was going to have, annually we, since we have our Southcom Dispatch Center right across the street with our police department, we're the second dispatch center in Lake County. Annually, we congratulate and thank our National Public Safety Telecommunication workers for the work they do for our first responders. And this week is the week for that. So we want to thank all our telecommunication operators here and in Central for Lake County, Indiana, and throughout the state of Indiana.
Thank you. I'd like to read the proclamation. National Telecommunications Week, April 10th to 16th, 2022. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and the preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who call the Southcom Police Fire Communication Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firemen by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of Southcom have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and the treatment of patients. And whereas each telecommunicator has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the period of their duties in the past year. Therefore, it is resolved that the Town Council of Schererville, Lake County, Indiana, hereby proclaims the week of April 10th to 16th, 2022 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our towns and citizens safe in the town of Schererville and the town of Cedar Lake. Adopted by the Town Council of Schererville, Lake County, Indiana on the 13th day of April, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Item I, consider donation to the Lake Central Education Foundation, Incorporated.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, this is a donation we also made last year to that foundation, and it was in the amount of $1,000 last year.
Thank you. Do we have someone that would like to speak from the foundation? Yes, please come forward.
Hi, Ms. Talent.
Thank you very much for town council members, officials, and our first responders for letting us represent the Lake Central Education Foundation. Our whole goal, as our letter indicated to you, is to provide grants for students. Those students are benefit because teachers write the grants for dynamic units of study, and they really are. Every once in a while, we'll get a seed grant that we're putting into place, and one of the two that there's really three that are pretty important, and I won't go on and on and on, but one was for the books that were at Clark Middle School. When Clark was first built, they didn't have a library, so we helped to donate funds so that they could get some books. The second one was the Uni Library Program that's like the old-fashioned bookmobile, and our librarian, a head librarian at Lake Central Corporation, started this and has been traveling to all the parks in our tri-town area. So that learning curve that we all know kind of goes down in the summertime. Students, if they get books in their hands, it doesn't decrease as much. So there's activities and the books, and they're returned in cooperation to the schools and or to Lake County Library System. So it's really a great cooperative effort. The other one you're going to learn a little bit more about, but we're very happy and pleased that we have been able to have a matching grant in the form of $10,000 for emergency supply buckets that we are making available. So it's a matching grant. And those are some seed grants. I could go on and on and on about the dynamic units of studies. I cannot thank you enough for helping to make sure that we all keep in focused that the most valuable resource on the planet are our students. They're the ones that make decisions on what is valuable and what isn't, and how good choices are made to become productive, contributing citizens. Thank you so much.
Could I ask you for the record to state your name and your position? Sorry.
Absolutely. I was so excited to be here, right? My name is Louise Talent, and I am co-president of the Lake Central Education Foundation. Susan Schweitzer is the other co-president. I reside in Dyer, Indiana, and Susan resides in St. John. Yes, I believe her address, it's right there on the border, so yeah, it's St. John, Indiana, so yes.
Thank you.
Is that what you needed?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Motion to donate $1,000 to the Lake Central Education Foundation.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Item J, consider donation to the Lake Central School Corporation for the emergency bucket project.
Thank you, Madam President. We're lucky enough tonight to have Corporal Brian Kissinger that can come up and explain it better than I could.
Good evening, Madam President and Town Council members. Thank you for having me. So I'm Corporal Brian Kissinger. I am one of the school resource officers for Lake Central, and a part of my job as a resource officer is emergency preparedness. And so when you start looking at emergency preparedness, we have to think about natural disasters and man-made disasters. And you know, this fall we had an issue where we had to lock down our students because of an active threat that was ultimately a mistake. But the guy called 911 and he did the right thing, and our school was put on a lockdown. So we had to worry about 4,000 students being locked down and for a couple hours. You're looking at 5 hours. And so once we started realizing, hey, we need emergency supplies to put in these classrooms to help the students out while they're in a lockdown situation, emergency buckets is one that helps with human basic needs while they're in a crisis. So no matter if it's man-made crisis or it's a natural disaster, we're trying to offer them supplies to get through that and get help. And so that's where we came up with this bucket. It's $45. It includes a lot of materials that can be used during a disaster, such as first aid kit, to a blanket, to writing utensils to keep their minds going. And so with the $45 is the bucket, and plus all the things that are inside there. So Lake Central is huge as far as our population. We have 9,000 students, 1,300 teachers and staff. And so to supply our lockdown areas, we have to come up with at least 800 buckets for the corporation, which means $36,000. And, trying to raise money for that, we're doing that actively right now. And part of that is the Educational Foundation with their seed grant. And so we're seeking, further donations. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Madam President?
Yes.
Yeah, Brian, I heard your presentation at the chamber recently, and you did a tremendous job on the presentation. And can you just tell real briefly what some of the items are in the bucket?
Yes. Without pulling them all out. So we have fleece blanket, roll of duct tape, roll of paper towels, face masks, plastic, 1 gallon plastic baggies, box of pencils, notebooks, Sharpies, first aid kit, large garbage bags. Could use for a lot of different things. And then we have, that's our basic, but then, you know, optional items could be flashlights, you know. One teacher had said, well, maybe reading glasses because my eyes are bad, you know, just things that's modular. So you can add things in there that you need for that particular class. We have, you know, diabetics or something like that. They could use, you know, the emergency buckets by putting it in the school, beginning of the school year, adding what they need for that particular class. So it can be changed and it can be modularized, but this particular item, those items that I just mentioned, that's the standard, and then it can be added towards that.
Very good.
Thank you, officer.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes.
Thanks for your efforts. Great idea.
It is great.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Tom?
Unless anyone else has any comment, I'd like to make a motion to consider the donation to Lake Central School Corporation for the emergency bucket project. I'd like to make a motion that the Schererville donates $2,500.
I'll second the motion with the caveat that we challenge our police department and our fire department to match us. Come up with some money for this noble project.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
No other discussion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Item K, consider donation to the Lake County Park and Recreation for financial support for the acquisition of property for potential Lake Hills County Park site, the Saros property.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a piece of property just off of 77th between 85th and 77th. It's about a 100-acre parcel. Craig Zanstra from the Parks Department has been here on several occasions talking about this project. They're looking to buy the land to build a county park. They've gotten grants. Mr. Johnson is familiar with the grants that they received that they're also asking for. Mr. Johnson, can you?
Local matches.
Yeah,
They're
local
looking for
matches. So, but they did come to the town. They brought us a number, and they're looking for a donation.
And most of this property is,
Is in Schererville,
Right.
yeah. I believe it's right around 94 acres in Schererville, about 5 acres outside of Schererville, so.
Madam President?
Yes.
Mr. Gorman, and this will strictly be a Lake County park
That's correct.
that will be operated and maintained by Lake County.
Yes.
That's our understanding at this point.
And they're basically looking for a donation from us strictly because most of it sits in Schererville, and they're looking to have a more greenery space park type atmosphere.
Yeah.
It'll be very passive park. There will be planned a nature trail, parking, and maybe a pavilion, and that's about it. It's mostly being used for just green open space, water retentions, you know, they're gonna try and naturalize Turkey Creek again instead of being a channel, so I think there's some benefit to us as far as development along 77th there to help us out.
And Madam President, and Mr. Gorman or Mr. Johnson, is there gonna be an entrance to that park off of 77th?
That's the only proposed entrance at this point is off of 77th.
And that would help move, because as you know, that's always been a very kind of a dangerous piece of road there. Matter of fact, years ago, Mr. Volkman and I can remember we went to put a guardrail there, and it didn't hold up. It wouldn't hold up, and the county had to make us take it down, or it was the county that was putting a guardrail. It's kind of a dangerous road there along there. So will this park improve that area?
I don't have the answer to that question.
The goal is, my conversation with Craig, and I believe the development plan shows that one of the first things they're going to do is to move Turkey Creek back to being naturalized and running through the property, straight through the property, as opposed to along 77th, and that'll reclaim that as dirt instead of a big giant ditch, so that we can then, as we move forward with our redevelopment or fixing of 77th corridor there, we could put, a curb or whatever we want along there. We could put a trail all the way along the south side there in the frontage of the new park. So we would have all of that as grass or dirt at that point, because there would no longer be a big ditch.
Well, that would be a major improvement there.
I agree.
I have one last question for Mr. Gorman. What about the house that was approved on the south side of 77th just recently at the planning commission level?
That's outside of this
Separate.
property.
Yeah, he owns that, he owns 10 acres,
He owns,
right there.
He owns 10 acres.
The guy that's putting the house up, yes.
And how close is the park to that 10 acres?
It abuts.
Yeah, it comes right up to it.
It's just, the park would be just to the east of that 10-acre parcel.
Yeah, it's right along Turkey Creek.
Okay.
So Turkey Creek will be pulled away from that parcel. It'll run through the middle of this park.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Tom?
I'm good.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to donate on behalf of the town council $100,000 to the acquisition of the proposed potential Lake Hills County Park site, Saros property. And I'm asking that the park board, if they can legally do so, to match that donation to come up with $200,000 total donation from the town of Schererville towards the acquisition of this property.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Item L, consider the acceptance of donations in the amount of $15,876.47. Mr. Troxel?
Yes, Madam President. These donations I'm going to read have been accepted through March 31st, 2022. And we first start off with the donation fund for the park. We received from James Sessa a park bench donation totaling $1,750. Also, the Crown Point Community Foundation donated a grant check for $538.78 for a total park donations of $2,288.78. The fire department received quite a bit of in-kind donations for the month. I'll read these. These were donations from Dick's Sporting Goods. We have 10 5-pound hexagon steel dumbbells, listed in-kind donation of $169.90. 10 5-pound hexagon dumbbells, one 40-pound hexagon dumbbell for $85.99. One 45-pound hexagon dumbbell, $91.99. 9 15-pound performance kettlebells, $476.91. 7 20-pound performance kettlebells, totaling $454.93. 11 10-pound performance kettlebells, totaling $439.89. One 6-pair hexagon dumbbell rack, $394.59. One flat bench, $296.62. 7 dumbbell connect, total of $3,499.93. 6 kettlebell connect 2.0, $1,679.94. 1 Pro C22 Studio Cycle, value $1,499. In addition to that, Pepsi also donated 120 cases of water at $6 a case for an in-kind donation of $720. So the fire department received a total of $9,809.69. That's pretty good. The animal control also received funds donated to them. The Schererville Lions Club donated $3,628. The committee to elect John Sarge Darge donated $50. Tom and Janice Malnowski donated $50. Pete Sormas donated $50 for total animal control donations for the month, $3,778. So our grand total was $15,876.47.
Thank you.
Motion to
Move
accept the
approve.
donations?
Second.
Sorry, Tom.
No discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Is there any business from the floor? Any business from the floor? Seeing and hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.